Hey, welcome back to the channel. Today's video is very special because I'm sharing my experience with the Cybertruck after driving 50,000 miles. Over the past several months, I've toured North America, explored Canada, and even visited the Arctic Ocean. Crazy. This review is packed with insights about what you can expect from a Cybertruck that has been slightly modified or enhanced for travel adventures. Along the way, I've made some practical upgrades. For example, I added what I call an adventure rack. Mine is made by a company called Overlander. The rack provides a horizontal surface for mounting my low-profile carbon fiber rooftop tent, which is made by Inspired Overland. The rack also supports other accessories like my Starlink dish and all my essential survival gear. So join me as I discuss my experience during the first 50,000 miles on my Cybertruck. I'll cover range, energy use, features, performance, capabilities, and the issues I've encountered during my first 7 months of Cybertruck ownership. First, let's talk about reactions. This one, I wasn't really expecting it. When I took delivery, there were very few Cybertrucks on the road, and the reactions were overwhelmingly positive, especially driving through Canada, where there were basically no Cybertrucks. Everyone got excited to see the Cybertruck, and some people even asked if it was a prototype for the future, so I told them that the future is here since the Cybertruck is now in production. Let's start with range and energy use. The Cybertruck's original rated range was 318 miles, but today, with the battery at 100% state of charge, it is estimated at 309 miles. Most of my charging has been done using DC fast chargers on Tesla's supercharging network, and while DC fast charging isn't ideal for battery health, it has been incredibly convenient for our non-stop travels. By the time I hit 50,000 miles, my Cybertruck had consumed 25,628 kilowatt hours of energy, averaging about 513 watt hours per mile. Before installing my adventure rack, my average consumption was around 471 watt hours per mile with the off-road tires. This number may seem high, but remember, I do a lot of highway driving and I don't drive slow. One question I frequently get is, how far can you drive and did you lose a lot of range with the rack and all the camping gear? The problem is that the answer is never straightforward because of so many variables: weather, elevation changes, type of terrain, and how heavy your foot is. I recently did a 3-hour stint pulling a Caravelle Airstream trailer at highway speeds between 55 and 65 miles per hour for 163 miles, with the battery going from 95% to 2%. While I had elevation changes uphill, I had more downhill. Now, the opposite could be true as well. For example, driving uphill on my way up to Mammoth Lakes, I could not drive more than 120 miles with a full charge. Driving from Dawson City to Eagle Plains in the Yukon when we went to the Arctic Ocean, I drove for almost 9 hours on a single charge, climbing and descending about 4,000 feet, driving 35 to 40 miles an hour. On a flat highway, driving 75 miles per hour, I can probably drive about 230 miles. Speed and elevation changes have the biggest impact on range. Besides considering those two things, the tires and the aerodynamics also play an important role. I think my efficiency went down by about 25% with all my modifications. But again, it may not matter if I'm driving slow, or it may matter a lot more if I'm driving fast. In the United States, falling short of range needed to reach a particular destination, in my opinion, would only happen due to negligence. There are only very few areas that are not covered by Tesla's supercharging network, and you can also use other DC fast chargers or electricity from any electrified building if you're in a pinch. I started making changes within the first few days of ownership. For example, my first modification was swapping the original tires for aggressive off-road tires. Why? Well, because that same week, I went off-roading to Moab in Utah, where we camped out for 6 straight nights in the Red Desert. The Cybertruck, like all other Teslas, has multiple warranties. The basic limited warranty covers the Cybertruck for 4 years or 50,000 miles. I just voided that warranty by mileage. However, I still have the Supplemental Restraint System Limited Warranty, which is good for 5 years or 60,000 miles. And the Battery and Drive Unit Warranty, which in my opinion is the most important, which is good for 8 years or 150,000 miles. You might be wondering, how did I rack up so many miles so quickly? Well, the short answer is simple: non-stop adventures. We toured the United States and Canada almost continuously since taking delivery earlier this year. One of the greatest experiences was driving to the Arctic Ocean and even taking a dip in the frigid waters. It was incredible. You can check out that video to learn more about the Arctic expedition. Now, let's talk about issues I have encountered during these 50,000 miles. Essentially, the only real problem I've had with the Cybertruck has been with the tonneau, the cover for the cargo bed. My tonneau gets misaligned after opening and closing it a few times. Once it gets misaligned, I have to recalibrate it from the service menu. My local Tesla service center worked on it twice in the beginning of my ownership. But I understand now that there are revised parts that have not been replaced on my Cybertruck, and I have a service appointment scheduled to take care of it soon. But I would like to talk a little bit more about the tonneau. Here's where it gets interesting. The tonneau interacts with the self-leveling feature Tesla calls Cyber Tent Mode, which is tied to Tesla's camping tent system. Normally, activating self-leveling forces the tonneau open. However, due to the misalignment, my tonneau stays closed, which works to my advantage while camping. In its normal state, you can't close the tonneau if the truck is self-leveled, even if you don't have Tesla's tent. I shared this feedback with Tesla's Cybertruck engineering team during a meeting I had with them in Palo Alto, California. I told them that the current problem with the tonneau actually works in my favor because when I'm camping with my tent, the tonneau remains closed. But once they fix it to its normal behavior, then I will not be able to self-level if I want to keep the tonneau closed. The Tesla team agreed with my feedback and said that they can make the tonneau's behavior of closing be made optional in the future update. So, fingers crossed. When we were exploring the United States and Canada, most of our nights were spent at forest land or deserts where there is wildlife, and leaving the tonneau open with all the camping gear and other items was just not an option. If it was working properly, I would have to rely on manual leveling techniques, like climbing over rocks or using logs to level the Cybertruck. My issues with the tonneau are really the only problem that I have encountered with my Cybertruck. However, earlier this year, Tesla voluntarily made 2 proactive updates to my Cybertruck. They added a rivet to my accelerator pedal due to the possibility of it getting loose in the future. And also, while I was at Michigan in June, Tesla replaced my rear drive unit with a redesigned version that is quieter, more efficient, and more reliable at no cost. They did this to evaluate wear and tear on my original motor since I already had the Cybertruck with the most miles driven in the world at the moment. Essentially, I agreed for them taking my rear motor for evaluation and I received a free update. It's a win-win for me. Remember, Tesla is always optimizing their hardware. Now, let's talk about features, performance, and capabilities. Because of all my travels, I've had the chance to test every feature on the Cybertruck. One standout feature is the differential lockers. The lockers improve traction in off-road conditions by locking the wheels on the same axle to rotate at the same speed. This feature wasn't available when I picked up my Cybertruck, but Tesla added this feature via an over-the-air update. And it already proved to be extremely valuable. Like, for example, a complex section that I had to drive over at a forest in California. If I had to pick just one, my favorite feature on the Cybertruck is the way they implemented steer-by-wire. Steer-by-wire replaces the column between the steering wheel and the tires with a triple redundancy electronic system. This technology provides precise, variable steering and, in my opinion, significantly reduces fatigue on long drives. Another thing is that Tesla enabled FSD Supervise on my Cybertruck after I already had 40,000 miles, and I've already logged over 10,000 miles using it. The FSD Supervised makes long-distance driving safer, more efficient, and it can also drive you around town, which is crazy. While FSD still requires supervision, it never gets tired or distracted, and it helps me make long drives much easier. The air suspension has also been a game changer. It adapts seamlessly to terrain, and while we were driving on the Dempster Highway, one of North America's most remote roads, the suspension absorbed every bump and vibration, making it a smooth journey. Tesla implemented a great set of features for off-roading that allows us to specify the type of terrain. On off-road mode, you can pick several settings on Overland and on Baja modes. Overland mode helps you drive exploring over dirt, rocks, gravel, sand, mud, or snow, and Baja lets you rip all those surfaces in a spirited fashion, like you're racing. I can talk for hours about the onboard off-road app and how we have been using it, so I'm going to leave the details of that for a future video. Let's talk about the 6-foot long cargo bed because it deserves a mention too. At 6 foot long, the truck's bed easily held my spare tire, cooking setup, emergency gear, water tanks, portable compressor, and all the stuff I carry for my travel adventures. Here's a fun detail. While my Cybertruck is currently wrapped, I appreciate the fact that under the wrap there is no paint. The Cybertruck's unpainted stainless steel body is very durable. No paint means no scratches, no chips, and no worries. Or, as I like to say, no paint, no pain, all gain. Most of the nights traveling, we slept in the inspired Overland rooftop tent, but sometimes we just couldn't use our rooftop tent and had to sleep inside the cabin. While it's not ideal, it worked for us. Alone, I could stretch out in the second row, and with 2 people, reclining the front seats provided enough comfort to get us through the night. The Cybertruck seats are big enough for 2 large adults, and the front seats also have cooling and heating, and they are great for long drives. I also consider the Cybertruck sound system a comfort item. The quality of the sound inside the cabin is amazing. It makes listening to your favorite music, podcasts, or audiobooks an immersive experience. The Cybertruck has power outlets like the ones we have in our homes, including 4 110-volt outlets and an NEMA 1450. I frequently use the 2 110-volt outlets in the cabin to power my electronics and fridge, and the 2 in the cargo bed to power our induction stove and the Starlink dish. In fact, while I was driving through the Northwest Territories tundra, I live-streamed a good portion of the drive using Starlink. I was also able to use my NEMA 1450 to trickle charge another Cybertruck. One trick I found early on is that if I wanted the outlets to remain on, there is a toggle switch on the screen to force the outlets to remain running for 12 hours straight, even when you get out of the Cybertruck. This was great to ensure that our Starlink remained active and our electronics charged. Now, let's talk about maintenance. Maintenance has been minimal. Aside from refilling the windshield wiper fluid, I really haven't had much to do. In terms of tires, you know that I replaced my original tires with off-road tires right after I picked up the Cybertruck. Those off-road tires were swapped for wheels with tires by Unplugged Performance at about 18,000 miles. The new tires now have over 20,000 miles on them and still look like they have pretty much about half their life left. So I'm pretty happy with that. In terms of cost of ownership, thanks to the awesome Tesla community, I still have free supercharging that I can use on my Cybertruck until June of 2025. But here are some numbers to help you understand the potential cost of charging. Using an average supercharging cost of 30 cents per kilowatt hour and the 25,628 kilowatt hours my Cybertruck used during the 50,000 miles, the cost for charging alone would have been about $7,688 US. However, if you charge at home, say at my rate, which is 11 cents per kilowatt hour, the cost of charging would be $2,819 US. So let's put the rate in the middle at 20 cents. The cost of charging to drive 50,000 miles would have been about $5,126. Let's compare the cost of charging with the cost of fueling a Ford F-150. I used an online fuel cost calculator using the highway MPG of the F-150 of 25 miles per gallon, and the cost for fueling to drive 50,000 miles, which requires 2,000 gallons of fuel at an average of $3.50 per gallon, would be about $7,000. But the electric truck also saves a lot in other areas because there is almost no maintenance for 50,000 miles. The only maintenance I did, like I said before, was basically filling up the windshield wiper fluid. In terms of purchase price, my Cybertruck is part of the Foundation Series units, arguably a limited edition. That means I paid more for the truck, or $100,000, than the price of non-Foundation units, which is about $80,000. But it also means that I was able to get it early and fully loaded, including FSD, all-terrain tires, white interior trim, mobile charger, and other extras. The best price at this moment, with all the features added to a dual-motor Cybertruck, is around $94,000, so the price difference is not that big. However, if you don't need or want FSD supervised, you can save the $8,000 from the current purchase price. To bring the price further down, you don't add any of the extras and the price actually comes down to $79,990. For under $80,000, you have the same truck I have, just without FSD, the white interior trim, the all-terrain tires, and a few additional accessories. If I were to buy a Cybertruck today, I wouldn't hesitate. Which reminds me, if you want a Cybertruck, I still have 10 available referrals to pass on some savings. At this time, there are up to $2,000 in discounts, and if you are in the US military, you may even qualify for an additional $1,000 discount. If you'd like to use my referral code to purchase a Cybertruck or any other Tesla, my referral link is on the description of this video, or you can find it on all my socials. Now, let's get to my final thoughts. After driving over 50,000 miles, many times through extreme conditions and off the beaten path, I can confidently say that the Cybertruck is more than just a truck. It's a gateway to adventure. For most pickup owners, the Cybertruck will exceed expectations. If your primary need is for towing 500 miles a day, it might not be ideal for you. But for the average truck owner looking for versatility, durability, and performance, the Cybertruck is perfect. If you ever dreamed of owning a Cybertruck, let me tell you something. It's built to take you anywhere. Thank you for watching. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and share your favorite adventure in the comments below. Until next time, keep exploring.